My name is Natalie, and I'm 34 years old. 3 months ago, my parents asked me to commit a crime. They didn't call it that, of course. They called it protecting family. They called it doing the right thing. They called it what a good daughter would do. What they really meant was this. Take the fall for your sister. Pay $50,000. Confess to something you didn't do. And destroy the career you spent a decade building. Also, their golden child could walk away clean. If you value stories like this are real, raw, and unfiltered, consider subscribing to the channel. It helps more than you know. Now let me tell you how it happened. My younger sister, Chloe, has always been the sun in my parents' solar system. I was the moon, reflecting whatever light was left. Chloe was beautiful, social, charismatic. The kind of woman who never waited in lines because someone always let her cut. I was practical, quiet, the one who read contracts before signing them. Growing up, that meant Chloe got excuses. I got expectations. When she failed a class, the teacher was unfair. When I got a B+, I wasn't applying myself. When she dented Dad's car at 17, it was just a mistake. When I scratched the bumper at 19, I clearly lacked responsibility. You get the picture. But adulthood changed things. At least, I thought it did. I became a licensed civil engineer. 10 years in the industry. Promotions. Certifications. Government projects. My name meant something. Chloe? She floated. Marketing jobs she quit. Boutique startups that collapsed. A wellness brand that lasted 4 months. And somehow, every time she fell, my parents cushioned her landing. Rent paid. Credit card balances cleared. Car leases renewed. She just needs time, Mom would say. She's figuring herself out, Dad would add. I figured myself out at 22. Because no one was waiting to rescue me. The accident happened on a Friday night. I remember because I was reviewing bridge compliance documents when my phone started vibrating nonstop. Mom. Dad. Chloe. Mom again. I answered on the 5th call. Natalie, Mom said, her voice trembling, we need you at the house. Now. No explanation. Just panic. When I arrived, Chloe was on the couch. Crying. Dad pacing. Mom wringing her hands like she was in a courtroom drama. What happened? I asked. Chloe's mascara had turned her face into a watercolor painting. I didn't mean to, she kept repeating. Didn't mean to what? Dad finally spoke. She hit someone. The air left my lungs. Is the person okay? Alive, he said. But in the hospital. Chloe had been driving home from a friend's birthday dinner. She'd had wine. Just 2 glasses, she insisted. But witnesses said she ran a red light. T-boned another car. The other driver was a 28-year-old paramedic. On his way to work. He had multiple fractures and a concussion. The police had done a breathalyzer. She was over the legal limit. Not dramatically. But enough. There were witnesses. Traffic cameras. And worse. She panicked after the collision. Tried to back up. Hit a parked car. It was a mess. But here's the part that changed everything. The car was in my name. 3 years earlier, Chloe's credit had been destroyed after she defaulted on several loans. My parents begged me to co-sign a car lease so she could rebuild her life. I resisted. They pushed. She needs reliable transportation for work. You're her sister. Why are you always so cold? Eventually, I agreed. On one condition. She made every payment. She maintained insurance. Everything documented. She did. At least on paper. So legally? The car was registered to me. Primary owner. Chloe listed as additional driver. And that's when my father said the sentence that split my life in two. It would be cleaner if you said you were driving. I laughed. I genuinely thought he was joking. He wasn't. The car is yours, he continued. If you say you were behind the wheel, it simplifies everything. Simplifies. Like we were reorganizing a closet. Dad, I wasn't even there. They can't prove that. They absolutely can. My phone location. My work badge logs. Traffic cameras. Mom stepped in. Honey, please. Chloe will lose everything. She could go to jail, Dad said quietly. Silence. And then the real demand came. If you plead to a lesser charge, he continued, we'll cover the legal costs. You'll probably just get probation. Maybe a suspended license. I stared at him. You want me to confess to DUI and reckless driving? It would protect your sister. And my career. They didn't answer. Because they knew. A DUI conviction for a licensed engineer working on public infrastructure projects? It wouldn't just be embarrassing. It would be catastrophic. Security clearances. Professional Licensing Board reviews. Government contract eligibility. Gone. Just like that. But you're strong, Mom whispered. And she isn't? No one answered. The next week was a blur. Chloe hired an attorney. A very expensive one. My parents dipped into retirement savings. But the evidence was bad. The paramedic's family was furious. There was talk of civil damages. Medical bills. Lost wages. Pain and suffering. Estimated exposure? Over $50,000. Possibly much more. And because the car was under my name, I was already being pulled into the insurance investigation. My parents called a family meeting. I knew what was coming. They sat me down at the dining table like I was 12 again. Dad slid a paper across the table. It was a draft statement. Confessing. Taking responsibility. Claiming Chloe misremembered events due to trauma. I felt something inside me go very, very cold. You wrote this? We had help, Mom said. You expect me to sign this? It's the only way to save her. No, I said. Dad's jaw tightened. Do you know what will happen to her if you don't? Yes. And you're okay with that? No. But I'm not going to prison for something I didn't do. You wouldn't go to prison. You don't know that. Mom's voice sharpened. After everything we've done for you. For me? I cut in. Name one thing. Silence again. Because there wasn't one. Everything I had, I built myself. And that was the moment I understood something painful. They didn't see me as a daughter. They saw me as insurance. 2 days later, my phone rang. It was Chloe. I need you to just help, she said. You want me to lie. I want you to save me. You were drunk, Chloe. I was barely over. You ran a red light. I panicked. And now I'm supposed to what? Destroy my career so you can keep pretending you're not reckless? Her voice shifted. From pleading. To resentful. You've always thought you were better than me. No, I said quietly. I just make different choices. She hung up. Then the pressure escalated. Relatives started calling. Apparently, my parents had told everyone I was refusing to support the family. My aunt left a voicemail saying, blood is thicker than pride. My cousin texted, it's just a mistake. Why are you being so harsh? No one mentioned the injured man. No one mentioned the law. It was all about Chloe. And that's when I made my decision. Not out of anger. Not out of revenge. Out of clarity. I hired my own attorney. A very good one. And I stopped answering family calls. Here's what my parents didn't expect. When the insurance investigation deepened, digital evidence surfaced. Phone GPS logs. Building access records from my office. Time-stamped emails. Security footage from the parking garage where my car was that evening. Yes. My car. Because Chloe hadn't told them everything. The night of the accident, she had switched cars with a friend after dinner. She didn't want to risk driving home in her own because she felt buzzed. So she borrowed mine. The car registered to me. Which had been parked at her friend's condo earlier that night. Security cameras caught her getting in. Alone. The timeline was airtight. When my attorney presented that evidence to the insurance company, something shifted. They stopped looking at me. And started looking at her. Hard. The paramedic's family filed a civil suit. Against Chloe. And because she had been drinking and ran a red light, the liability was overwhelming. My parents tried one last time. Dad showed up at my apartment unannounced. They're asking for $50,000, he said. I know. If we pool resources. You mean if I pay? You have savings. Yes, I did. Years of disciplined investing. Emergency funds. Career stability. I'm not paying for her mistake. His face hardened. So that's it? You're abandoning your sister? No, I said calmly. I'm refusing to enable her. He left without another word. Court day came faster than anyone expected. Chloe looked small in that courtroom. The paramedic walked in on crutches. His arm in a brace. When he spoke about missing shifts, about struggling with physical therapy, about how he was on his way to save someone else. The room felt heavy. Chloe cried. My mother sobbed loudly. My father stared at the floor. And for the first time, I felt something unexpected. Not anger. Not superiority. Just sadness. Because this didn't have to happen. If they had held her accountable years ago, maybe this night would have never occurred. The judge ruled in favor of the plaintiff. Financial damages awarded. License suspended. Mandatory rehabilitation program. Criminal record. It was over. New Year's Eve was quiet. I was alone in my apartment. A glass of champagne in hand. My phone buzzed at 11:47 p.m. It was Mom. I'm sorry, she said. Just that. No excuses. No pressure. Just, sorry. Behind her voice, I could hear Chloe crying. I didn't feel victorious. I felt free. Because for the first time in my life, I had chosen myself. And that choice cost me the illusion of a perfect family. But it saved everything else. My career. My integrity. My future. Chloe eventually took responsibility. She enrolled in counseling. She got a job, an actual one. Not glamorous. But steady. We don't talk much. My parents treat me differently now. Carefully. Like they're afraid I'll walk away completely. Maybe I would. If they ever asked me to ruin myself again. Family isn't about sacrificing your entire life for someone who refuses to grow. It's about accountability. And love that doesn't require self-destruction. If this story meant something to you, if you believe standing your ground matters, consider subscribing. It helps us keep sharing stories that need to be told. And if you were in my position, what would you have done?